All right, my babies, how are we? What's going on? How's life? What exactly are we doing? Today, let us do. All right, here's a video. Life is not moving fast. You are. Feelings. What what was I feeling? I don't know. What does it mean? Life is not moving fast. You are. This goes back to my thought process where I once was discussing how time flows through us, not the other way around. So our experience of time, I feel, is wrong because we tend to kind of like we're the ones that rush. We're the ones that dictate, I want this in 5 minutes, or I want to finish this in a day or a month. It's kind of like forcing a screw because ultimately when you do that, you kind of like lose a bit of its like edges. And effectively, what happens is basically like the more you when you remove the screw, it doesn't fit the same. And this is maybe an awareness from my perspective, just in order to be able to understand how I actually am attempting to reason with the nature of how I feel productivity should be versus how I am actually being productive. Now again, it's just like funny how things go. So right now I'm in a program that allows me to accelerate basically my thought process. But I feel like I'm not giving it its time. But that's not true because effectively what's happening is I have been doing this kind of stuff for the past year between the researching and learning and building and all the things that come with this kind of like approach, like trying to inch closer. But when I took this program, I don't know what I should when I what I was to expect. And every week it comes with like different things that I'm supposed to do, and I do them and I kind of follow through. But they come out naturally. Like when they ask about something, they instantly come out. And I'm probably like at this stage in my life, just kind of like considering, are these coming out naturally because of how I have been kind of like, because of the skills I'm building in terms of discover, like being honest with myself, holding myself accountable, and better communicating like a better form of communication between me and myself in order for me to kind of like get more clarity and more articulation for things? Or is it because I have been pursuing this for the past years? So basically, like what they're doing right now is allowing me to summarize everything I've been doing. Like, I don't know. A part of me is not accepting that it is those things. It is all of them. It is the fact that I have been working hard, even though I don't feel like I have. Because like in the startup world, you measure basically your progress through metrics. And anytime I look at the metrics I have, I don't assign the relevance to them because I know where I can be biased. So effectively, what's going on is just like me kind of like, I guess, being whiny of having more time or feeling less pressure. Or maybe I should be proud of the fact that I'm approaching everything with calm. I'm dedicating time for everything, even though every once in a while I kind of like neglect it. I need to do something, I wait a couple of days to do it. But the idea behind it is I am still perfectly within the realm of producing something up to standard at the very least because they haven't kicked me out. I do have an issue with them not giving me feedback, like do this way, do this that way. But again, it's a startup because everyone has their own style, and the idea is to develop how you interact with these things and how you build your style. So it's all how I would do things, and I've been very confident with myself. I'm being like, no, okay, this. There's no reasoning behind it that I'm trying to like negotiate. It's just like this is how I'm doing it, and then I look at things in a more objective way. So for me, life is not moving fast. Weirdly, so time is kind of like. managing to complete its cycles. How can I explain that? Since every week we have certain deliverables, it feels like there's this schedule that we're on, where every week there's something new, something new, something new. And ultimately, uh, our base of understanding of how we see, I guess, how we see the actions that we want completed can only be contained with time or through time. I don't know if it's a trigger that we use in order for us to get in a better flow. Like pressure works, right? But I think my bigger issue right now is I'm not feeling stressed, which I think is off, or which I see is off. And it's probably because there's a conditioning that's happened for the longest time. Like if you're not kind of like in a fucked up mood, you're not really like giving it the energy that it deserves. I feel that's the case. If anything, I'm a bit bored. And I'm not just doing like the deliverables, like I'm thinking of different stuff. Am I? Yeah. Am I giving them time the way I normally do? No. I tend to blame it on on where I'm living right now, but that's no space for me to kind of like come from. A big part of me wants to leave, but also a big part of me kind of like does not have. Sorry, the electricity went off. A big part of me wants to leave, but the bigger part of me is considerate of the actual like priorities, time constraints, budgetary constraints, moving into a new space, the feeling of discomfort, and all that stuff that happens with a new house. Like I want to avoid that. I had a good flow for a while, but I decided to leave because I was feeling kind of stuck, and the days became repetitive, and I can't be using that excuse anymore. Why is this a note that I wrote? Life is not moving fast, you are. This is around August last year, and around August is July, August is basically when everyone gets married, I guess. And there's this just not compelling need for everyone to kind of like catch you up on what you need to do, maybe. Because like right when you're meeting with family, like where are you now? What are you up to? Do you have any kids? Are you married? And all that shit. Maybe that like subtly applies pressure on you, even when you're kind of like aware of yourself. A big part of it is the fact that you allow other people's voices to enter your head. There's a difference between like listening to somebody and understanding where they're coming from and hearing what they have to say. And I think hearing is kind of like taking it and applying it, or taking it and involving it in your process. So how do you cleanse basically your mind from all the other voices but your own? It's the hearing it's you hearing somebody. And sometimes even when you're not really listening to them, you're hearing their words. Or you're kind of like ignoring them. It's like, yeah, yeah, sure, why not? Why the fuck not? You're still kind of like hearing what they're saying. And it's funny because like listening requires our attention, but hearing requires our intention. That's something I want to write. Fuck yeah. Let me write it on. Listening requires our attention. Hearing requires our intention. It's a bit interesting to actually think of this stuff, right? Because ultimately, when I'm trying to like avoid people, I'm avoiding what they're saying, which means I'm actually devoting more energy against what they're saying, which kind of like means I'm more intentional about it. Funny, right? Because I'm at the core, I see reality as an intentional thing, as how you are intentionally moving in this world. Your reality is created based on that. And imagine I'm putting that much intention on other people's words, even when I don't really care for it, which is possibly why I get to hear them and incorporate their voice, their tonality, their their I want to say conflicts for some reason. Because effectively and anytime you're saying something you're projecting, because it's an expression. So when they're saying something that's allowing you to get into conflict with yourself, that means there's conflict in them. It can't be helped. Because if they're saying something with and it's not affecting you in that way, that means there's harmony. So it turned out to be a fucking interesting video, man. Love you guys.